ago, none of them were here. Up in and through COVID, nobody was here. Whatever happened in town, people were trusting that things would be done right according to the people. During that time, they clearly were not, which is what brings us to where we are today. That's why there's so much mistrust. The things that are being passed along, the only thing orchestrated is this meeting because of the 4 items that didn't get passed at the last council meeting. That's what's orchestrated and put us here today. And the difference in the verbiage is astounding. You should have just copied the same verbiage from the last one. The fact that it's being brought up again in hopes that we can have the 3-2 vote that the public has clearly complained about to this council in past meetings. The things that aren't right for this town, the things that are being pushed, are being passed by a 3-2 vote. So I challenge you tonight, prove me wrong. Listen to your residents and what they want. So I'm going to do one more thing because we are very big on visual things here. If you're a resident of Pemberton Township, I'd ask you for the council, please raise your hand. Keep them up for a second. If you would be okay over the next 3 to 4 years of your taxes going up a couple of $100 to compensate for reckless building and warehousing, keep your hand up, please. Thank you. Have a good night.
I said at the planning board meeting, the town has lost 4,400 people over 30 years, since the 1990 census to 2020. That's what I said. But, okay, if I can't clarify that for you, Mr. Doyle, I'm sorry. Yeah, that's my recollection.
What about the 25 acres?
Harper 18 Highland Road, evening, ladies and gentlemen. First thing I'd like to bring up, I've known Tom Boyd for close to 40 years. One thing I know about Tom is he's honest. He will not bend. He follows the code. He went to more schools than I can imagine to get his licenses and earn those licenses. And he would not do anything to jeopardize those licenses. And I think it's a shame that the administrator saw fit to fire him before his term because he wouldn't do what he wanted done. Sometimes he's the boss. Sometimes somebody else is the boss. See, when there's a problem, he's not the boss. But I just wanted to bring that thing up. Tom Boyd, I mean, I think he should be compensated for the full term of his agreement. Because he gave out of his time and schedule to come work for this town, and we needed somebody, of his caliber here with all the building that's supposed to be going on. And it's just a shame that this is how things happen. When somebody's going to do the right thing, they try to intimidate them, push them around, anything they can do to get them out. And it's got to stop. Like this meeting tonight, there's no good reason to have this meeting. It could have waited till the next regular scheduled meeting on July 17th. Like Barry Doyle said before me, it's just because of an agenda. They thought they'd get by having a special meeting and they have the votes here and not many people would pay attention. But we're going to be paying attention. We're going to be like proctologists. We're going to be paying attention. I'm telling you, it's not going to happen. It's just a shame. And I hope in a short period of time, I don't know when you guys got all your packets, and I hope you read every page, every line of everything that's on those packets. Because in there, I'm sure, I don't have the advantage to have them ahead of time, which I think all citizens should have the chance to see them before the first reading, not till after the second reading. But I'm sure somewhere on those lines, if somebody gave them to me, I don't think I could find somewhere a misquote, an untruth, a lie, because just reading past ordinances and past, things that go through here, you can always find something that's not right. You have 2 ordinances for out there for sewer coming up, out on 206. I hope we're not paying for that sewer. I hope the builder's paying for it. I hope we're getting everything we're supposed to get for it, the primary fees and stuff like that. But I'm sure if you read carefully through those, there's untruths. You have an ordinance coming up for a redevelopment agreement, you all know my points on that. I don't think we need any redevelopment, especially on a piece of farm ground. Farm ground doesn't need to be redeveloped. And, you know, we have an ag advisory commission. Did they get any heads up on this? They should be advising us on anything to do with any farm ground. That's why we put together an agricultural committee. You know, but I'm sure they did not get advance notice and all the information that you, ladies and gentlemen, got, you know, to read over and give their opinion. Why do we put together these committees and we don't take their advice? Yeah. The more people that are involved in things in this town, the better the decisions are made. You know, I know we're not gonna stop every development, you know, but we need to make sure that everything is done properly, you know, by the book, you know, which some people don't wanna go by the book. Yeah, it's just a reoccurring thing here, you know, we try to rush things through. Like I said, this redevelopment agreement stinks to high heaven. One of my other questions, you know, I write a lot of notes, but sometimes I get offhand. Is there any kind of tax break on this redevelopment agreement? Because there should be no tax breaks on any construction in this town. No tax break. We're saddled with one now that I'm sure, you know, somebody can paint a pretty picture of it, but if you fan it out over that lifespan, we're gonna wind up losing. We might have made money on the front, but we're gonna lose in the long run. You know, we've got to stop this kind of stuff. You know, smart development, you know, we can't stop everything, I know that, you know, it's a shame. But, you know, just one last thing, part of council's, you know, duties that I read through under the Pemberton Township page, you have the ability to fire a municipal officer for cause, and I think slowly but surely cause is coming out. You know, it's either terminate or investigate, one or the other, or possibly both. I mean, it's gotta happen. It's getting ridiculous. The township residents here, you know, like I said, bigger and bigger groups. I'm just not speaking for myself, I'm speaking for a group of, you know, concerned residents here and business people, and that group keeps getting bigger every day. You know, thank you for your time.
Hi, Pat Guthrie, 317 Birmingham. There's a couple things I'd like to address. One is our tax dollars, our taxes that we pay is what pays for our administration, our people that are here. They're supposed to be working for the residents. And I find that after the past year being here, I feel like they're working more for the contractors and the buildings than they are for the people. I wanted to reiterate on the statement that Mr. Gardner had mentioned earlier about, there was one of the residents that had said something about building warehouse across from Sunbury. That was me. I happen to have a lot of friends that live in Sunbury. I've grown up here all my life. I was a missionary, and I went from door to door, and we did Bible study classes at these houses. When it came up that they were building a warehouse off of Route 38, and they were gonna open it up to get employees from the township of Pemberton and give them jobs and income, several of those owners in those houses that lived in that town said they wish they were gonna build a warehouse across from them because they don't have transportation. They didn't wanna have to walk to be able to go across the street to a job, because most of them don't have cars, the people that I know. It would have been a benefit to them. You make it sound like it was something dirty or criminal or nasty that I said. You thinking in that aspect is disgraceful in itself. But I just wanted to address that issue because I was not saying anything meaning to be hurtful or anything to anyone. It was something that was brought up to me by residents that live there. The next, we were talking about raising money and utilizing money for the township. There's a Right to Farm Act in New Jersey. So, and there's money that's given 2 farmers and on farmland to help the township retain their farms. When these people had their farms in Pemberton Township, off of North Pemberton Road, off of 206, they were farms. They paid farm taxes. Then, somewhere along the line during COVID, under the hush-hush, all of a sudden there was in need of redevelopments popping up for all of these areas that surrounded Birmingham. A comment was made, oh, we only have 30% of building where we could do in Pemberton Township. Oh, it happens to be, let's go ahead and destroy the small town of Birmingham. There's only like, what, maybe 50 residents that live out there? You know, it won't affect everybody in Pemberton, but let's just destroy this little town. So we're gonna make this farm in need of redevelopment and build Rockefeller. It's another farm. We're gonna make that in need of redevelopment and build another Rockefeller. Oh, here's Greenberg Farm, we're gonna say that's in need of redevelopment, you know, so we're gonna put in a housing development. And now there's 2 more farms on the other end of Birmingham that, hey, they're in need of redevelopment, let's turn them into warehouses. And oh, let's not forget to mention, there's a forest in the middle of Birmingham, there's like 25 acres of forest there. Let's chop down that forest in the middle of Birmingham and put 5 more warehouses. Okay, so here I am living in Birmingham. I had a U of 12 warehouses being built around my house. You tell me how anyone in this whole town would appreciate something like that happening to them in their home that they built from the ground up and decided, hey, I want to live in Pemberton. When my house burned down in 2008, the township took 7 months for me to get an approval just to rebuild my home, which makes no sense to me. I lived there since 1980, so 28 years, and I couldn't rebuild my home. I had to hire lawyers. I had inspectors there from the time that everything was torn down to the time that they were watching brick for brick. Oh, let's make sure that oil tank is out. Make sure there's no oil spill. Make sure there's no contamination. We were literally watched continuously just so that I could rebuild my home. I rebuilt a brand new, beautiful home in Pemberton. They doubled my taxes. Did I have a problem with that? Nope. They went ahead and doubled my taxes. I'll pay the taxes because this is where I wanted to live. And basically, I'm paying, and we have council members who's supposed to represent the residents. I'm paying lawyers and business administrators that are supposed to be looking out and protecting the residents, and instead, I'm paying them to destroy my community. I don't think I should be paying. We shouldn't have to pay any taxes in Birmingham with what you guys have introduced to our community. And there are other things. The Pentagon Interior launched new programs to protect land around bases. They're willing to give money. Okay, here's another. Preserve green spaces, enhance recreation opportunities around military installations. They're willing to give money. The Army contemplates use buffered ACUB program. They're willing to give money. So if you want to get money into the community, why don't you do your job and look for money and for your grants and put money in instead of destroying our township. Thank you.
Very disrespectful.
I mean, ask the people in the audience. How did they
Ms.
sit
Duncan,
down?
I'm speaking to you.
No,
Go
no,
ahead.
that's the
It
old.
sounds horrible.
When you said it months ago, and I've said it several times at different meetings, you never gave an inspection like that. You had sat in the back of the room. So what you said
When
now
I first
would
came
have
up
made
here,
sense.
I said
when
I was a
first said-
missionary,
You said
and
nothing like
I
that.
knew lots of people that lived in Sunbury Village.
You said, oh, let me build in Sunbury, that's all you said.
No, I did not.
Thank you.
We weren't expecting her to step up, that's why.
Yeah, and you are disrespectful.
62 North Pemberton Road. I usually sit for longer so I can listen to what other people have to say. Piggyback on that, but I really just wanted to follow up with what she was saying about how the military is stepping up. I don't even remember how many years back it was, but we preserved our property, our 40-acre farm. It's really interesting because we're right across the street from the Greenberg proposed development. And at the time, which I guess, several administrations, really wants to develop North Pemberton Road with whatever, warehouses, whatever. And it really doesn't make sense because when you want to attract new residents, you want to bring them in and show them how beautiful your town is, get them into the town, and then as they're driving down the farmland on either side of them, and they're saying, wow, this is such a beautiful community. And then they go into the housing stock that already exists. What we currently have is a lot of move-up kind of housing. So there's a lot of ranchers, single-story houses where they can build them up. We don't need new houses to do that, so that we can have different levels for as people's families grow. But if you put warehouses up to the entry of our town, people are gonna go, what? I'm not coming in. So you have to be able to sell it first. Before they even get here, they're not gonna come in. But in any case, when I wanted to develop, when my family wanted to preserve our property, we got turned down by the township for the township's cost share. I don't remember who the mayor was, it doesn't even matter, because we got the same answer from several mayors. They didn't want to put the township cost share in because they wanted to develop the property. So our attorney went to the federal government. The federal government put in the town's cost share because they said, if the plane goes down, we'd rather go down into farm field rather than houses. And you know what we're trying to put up right across the street from me, still in that Class D airspace? Houses. And the really ironic thing about this whole thing is, my attorney is Greenberg's attorney that's trying to develop the houses. David Frank went to the federal government to get my property preserved. And it just shows it's all about money. Some people just don't care. I shouldn't have said his name. It's not slanderous, it's truth. It's exactly what happened. But outside of that, one thing I have, and people say farmers can do what they want with their property. You're absolutely right, they can. Greenberg could develop his property and put one house per 6 today without any changes. We didn't have to give it to him. And I was on our zoning board for 10 years. So I developed a relationship with the zoning board plan. And when I saw the redevelopment plan for Greenberg's, I said to him, why is it being redeveloped? Like somebody else just said, you don't need to redevelop the farm. It's operating, it works. And because of the way the law was written, there's a lot of gray area in there, and there's a little caveat so you can just shove things in there. But when you look at the map, what is the redevelopment area, the plan? It carves out one little spot in there where currently it's Dave Winrow owns the property. He's right smack in the middle of that redevelopment plan. The only lot that got redeveloped, apparently was the only thing that really needed to be redeveloped, was Greenberg's farm, not the horse farm, and the 3 houses that were already on there. So I said to Dave, that's spot zoning. He said, no, it's not. I said, what's the definition of spot zoning? When you change the zoning for the financial benefit of one person. And that's exactly what happened with the Greenberg farm. It's exactly what happened. Now, the time has passed because 60 days went by. We really can't do anything about changing that decision at that time for the redevelopment plan. But there's no reason why we need to have stuff that many houses in there. When what was just said, the government is willing to give us money to preserve land around the base. It's for our overall security. And lastly, in regard to the country house, we want to get hit with this lawsuit. When I was on the zoning board, it was always encouraged for us to go out to a property, to see what's going on with the property. Because as you may not know, some people are not completely truthful in their applications. So when you go out to the property and you see something, you're able to bring it to the table and bring it to the application when the applicant comes in, and you can address it. And you can make sure that you make the right decisions. I don't know, maybe it's just hearsay, but I heard that one of our town representatives got told not to go out to the country house, and he represents our town, so that he could do his job. You don't know if you've got 20 acres or 25 acres of woodland if you don't
Excuse
go.
me, do you know who told him that?
What?
Do you know who told the employee not to go out to the site?
I do not know.
I do.
Okay, then you could enlighten us.
So it's true.
You got,
And the guy
No,
that's
I'm
sitting here.
done. Go ahead, you tell us.
Yeah, tell us.
it was the head of administration.
The head of the administration's name is?
His name?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The mayor.
The mayor.
His name is
The
Jim.
mayor told that representative
The
not to
mayor has
go.
told me several times that employees are not allowed to go to meetings unless he specifically authorizes it.
Wait, this is to the
So I don't know
property.
where all.
This is
to the property.
I'm talking about going out to the country house to see what they were doing.
Yeah, that too.
That's
That
not a
too.
meeting. That's
No,
going
it's
to the
not, but
property.
the mayor spoke to me specifically
In regards
about,
to that.
and wanted me to take action against the zoning board member.
Okay. Okay. We're on the same page. We're on the same page. Now, lastly, in regard to that, their application said that they were going to keep the use the same as it was. If you've seen the plans, it's a freaking warehouse, it's not a restaurant. It's plain as day. So their application should be deemed incomplete or insufficient, and it should be withdrawn.
That's the argument you can make at the zoning board meeting. We can't order the zoning board to do anything.
That's okay. Public comment.
Hi, Mike Salka, 92 Scrapetown Road. First, where are the copies of the resolution so we can see what you're voting on, because these make no sense. Consent for site-specific treatment works. What is that? Consent for site-specific treatment works. What is that? What is authorizing piping and materials for Ferguson Industries to buy and new business for purchasing for real estate appraisals? Why couldn't we wait till next week at a regular council meeting? Aren't we paying overtime for Amy to be here? Anybody else in the building? The attorney that's here billing us for this extra meeting? Isn't this a waste of time when it could have been done during a normal meeting that was already scheduled, budgeted for? But no, we have to do a special meeting. This stinks.
That's why.
Smells dirty. I said it. Yeah, I knew that. Real classy.
It's hot over there, ain't it?
Oh, I'll get loud.
There you go.
All right, my questions are a little bit, different. Mine are about the resolutions. I don't quite understand them or why, they're back on the agenda. You just got done going through them, they just got voted on, and here they are again. I don't understand if they just got voted down, why they're here again. Why repeat what we already accomplished? No means no. Let's keep it that way. I understand that Vertical's worried about being sued. But if things from the last, I've been sitting there trying to get my thoughts into play, and I can't get them straight. But we need to stop things moving forward from things that went from the past And just because things were signed, we need to stop them. We need to stop things from progressing, and until we see how things, the warehouses that are already being built, we need to see what the future is going to hold, like from the traffic and from the water and we need to stop. We need to stop what's being done, let that play out, and stop building, and then see what's gonna happen. We can't keep building and building and building, and then when the water runs out, and when the ground is gone, and then everything is built up, and everything's gone, and then say, okay, now where do we go from here? Then what do we do? Go up? We can't just keep on going and say, well, what if we get sued? Because we signed a contract. We need to stop. We need to stop and think, well, maybe they did something wrong back then, and maybe we could change something, maybe we could tweak something, maybe we could talk about it, you know, just because they want to put a warehouse in, or just because they said yes to a warehouse, maybe we need to stop and think, is that what's best for the future? Is that what's best for right now? And with what's on the resolutions, if we could say no to it a few weeks ago, we could say no to it again today. I don't see why we can't say no to it again today and reevaluate what Pemberton Township is going to hold. We need to say, we don't need another warehouse, we don't need more housing, we need to find out and truly brainstorm what's best for today. The warehouses that are here are true. It's not, they're empty. They're not, I know what I wanna say. I know where my heart is. And I'm just broken. I am broken that it's true, we're wasting time here. We're wasting time doing the same thing over and over again, fighting the same battle, doing the same thing, and we're butting heads, and we're getting nowhere. We need to find a true solution, and warehouses ain't it, and more houses ain't it. We need to, and I'm not saying that I have it. I'm not saying that I know what the right answer is. I'm just saying we need to work together. So I'm gonna take my last whatever that is, and I'm gonna pray that we find it. Lord, I just pray that we find a solution. We work together and we find harmony in this room. Lord, I just pray that you bring Jesus in the midst of all of us, and you bring harmony, Lord. Lord, I don't know what is going on in this county, Lord, and Lord, I just pray that you bring us all together. Lord, there's so much anger and bitterness, and I just pray that you bring harmony. But I thank you so much for bringing us together and bring more people that care about this community together. Thank you so much. Just thank you for bringing us together and being in the midst of all of us together. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Said I always hate coming up here, but tonight I'm a little bit, well, actually I'm a lot upset because, you know, back in April, December to April, we did an investigation on the mayor because of a situation that happened to Nicole Pittman. And we found through that investigation that Nicole was wrongly dealt with. And you guys backed her, okay? She was accused of things falsely, okay? And here now we have this man, I've never even met him, and he's being accused of something that's gonna follow him wherever he goes in his career. And we have not did an investigation into that? I'm sorry, but like I've told you before, my dad said, when you say something, you follow through with it. Okay, you speak the truth. I've heard nothing but lies here tonight. And I'm sorry, Mr. Hornicle, but people have brought lies up here that you have not defended with the truth. And just like, it needs to be the truth that goes forward from this platform. Okay? You guys, we voted you in. And you know, I'm a registered Democrat, I mean, not a Democrat, Republican. But I listen to both things. And since I've been coming to these meetings, I've actually sided with some of the things the Democrats agree and some of the, so I'm going back to being an independent. Okay? Bottom line is, yes, we need building and stuff like that. But all I'm hearing the Republicans say is, we just want it done the right way. And the Democrats are like, let's go for it. Why can't we do it the right way? Then we're not gonna have these lawsuits. Okay, I do have a point of clarification, because this is brought up all the time. Mr. Hornicle, and maybe you're the one, maybe the council's the one to help me. Why are we, do these proposals for these warehouses or these building projects, do they come to council first, or do they go through somebody else first that gets the signature to sign off on it? So if John Doe came over and said, I want to build a house here, went to the business administrator, I want to build a house here, a housing complex, does he sign off on it and say, yes, we'll sign a contract and we'll do it, or does council sign off on it?
Neither.
Who does?
Zoning or planning board, depending.
Okay, so zoning and planning board are the ones that basically put us in the situation of being in potential lawsuits. You understand what I'm saying?
No.
You keep bringing up that we have lawsuits if we don't follow through with these things. I wanna know who signed the paperwork that would potentially cause us to have a lawsuit if we don't follow through with it. Who was the initial signer? Was it council? Was it business administrator? Was it zoning board? I mean, because apparently that person is not doing enough within their department, or doesn't know enough within their department to keep the township safe. So that's something I need to know, because
Safe
from lawsuits.
well. Okay. Trying to avoid lawsuits, and the question is, are we gonna avoid it or not?
You know, my thing is, okay, there has to, in order for us to be sued, there has to be a contract from these developers, correct? Who from the township signed that contract and said, yes, you can do it? You understand my question now?
It depends on the contract. If you're talking about a redevelopment agreement, that is, a redevelopment agreement is brought before the council, and the council authorizes the mayor, I believe, to sign the agreement.
So in other words, this one on here that says approves a master redevelopment agreement. So if we say no to that, we're not in jeopardy of having a lawsuit. Because they're asking you here to approve it.
That's a tough question. You live in a country where everything can be a lawsuit, but generally speaking, if they don't have a contract, they have no reason to sue it.
Right, what I'm asking is, okay, if that's the case, Mr. Hornicle keeps saying that, well, if you don't approve this, then we're gonna have a lawsuit. Well, how are we gonna have a lawsuit if you guys didn't approve it yet?
I believe he's talking about things that were previously approved.
Okay, so if things are previously approved, is there not clauses put in there barring extenuating circumstances or anything like that? I mean, I heard Mr. Dewey ask for the council to bring up an investigation and to stop all things until that investigation is done. Which, after hearing about the lies and the things that happened to this gentleman, I would say is a very good thing to do. Because I wouldn't want to move forward knowing that our township potentially ruined somebody's career by a false statement.
Oh, yeah.
But I'm not aware that had anything to do with the possible lawsuits that are being discussed, but,
Well, but he has a lawsuit, possibly, he could sue us for what we've done to him.
possibly, I don't know.
Okay, so I am saying the same with Dan Dewey. I think at this point, just like we investigated the mayor, we need to investigate the situation that's going on here with, Mr. Hornicle and these things being done without us knowing, and things being done like this to people within our township.
Thank you.
You know, and I believe that as a council, I believe that you guys have the best interests of the town, and I would hope that you would stand up and do the right thing.
Thank you.
Mark Thomas, 35 Northwoods Road, New Lisbon, New Jersey, Burlington County. Old Northampton Township, if you want to know my history. Well, I wanted to talk about a couple of things. One is that looking at the context of what's been going on in this township and in this county for the last 60 years, 50 to 60 years, we see a picture of development and identification of areas, general areas that were, let's say, identified for development. There has been a path that has been followed generally between at least 1972, when the first master plan was produced. I think Frank Banish did it, until now. And in that early map, 206 Carter and 530 were identified as highway commercial. That was the first assignation and recognition that development was coming, and we want to put it where the roads are so that people can access businesses, et cetera, et cetera. Over time, of course, over the same period of time, communities have developed, human communities, in which eventually would come into conflict with the areas that were identified as highway commercial. And basically, in the last 25 years, these two things have come to a head. But now, between 2008 and now, the logical process that I perceive has happened in our township is that the municipal boards have worked generally in concert in order to bring that model into fruition. And so in the teens, there seemed to have been a consonance between the administration and the council and the planning board to bring that plan into being. What happened during the last part of that interval between 2017 and now is that there were some refinements, if you want to call them refinements, and some use of language and categories such as the township-wide enterprise zone that enabled certain categories to be employed for calling something either blighted or in need of redevelopment. And I think you have to look at the context over 60 years to understand the process and how these things are all coming together. Because we're witnessing an area now where human communities are being affected by economic forces that can't be resisted because we've laid the groundwork for it to happen. So now what we're experiencing is the real human tragedy of having, as Ms. Guthrie said, her community is disappearing. And how can you not acknowledge the pain and suffering that people go through? And some people are out there, and we have to represent everybody, but they are not having their, watching their, they're not watching their neighborhood being shorn of trees. I mean, some people reported tree frogs just flying onto their windshield when the woods were torn down for the first warehouse.
Yep.
But all I'm saying is that there are a lot of forces at work right now. And there are people who are understandably, such as council, dedicated to providing the highest quality of life for the largest number of people. But when you have a process that is putting a smaller population of people at risk for the communities that they lived in and grew up in, this is what you have. You have to tolerate this. This is human, I was going to almost say human tragedy, because this is what it feels like to a lot of people. I would leave with one other idea, and I can't remember who it was, and I get nervous when I'm talking, so excuse me. But she said, you have to find another way. You have to figure out a new model, and they're out there, to proceed in order for us to save the best of what we have, and to develop new sources of revenue that build on something that is not typical. And if I could have 2 more minutes. Can I have 2 more minutes?
Yes.
Okay. In 1988, I heard a wood thrush singing in what I used to call the Virginia Pines Woods. It's what they call now the sand pit. I heard a wood thrush singing for 15 minutes. It flew up in front of me, sang for 15 minutes, then it was gone. 30 years later, there's an organization called the Grand Rapids Conservancy that has preserved over 2,500 acres, almost entirely with volunteer effort, because of that wood thrush, because of me, because of countless human beings, and the social capital that is, I'm not an egotist. To be honest, it's the wood thrush thing, it's not me. But what I'm saying is, here is another model. The model is somebody who is captivated by something, brings it into being because something has lit the fire. We have to look for that sort of thing and incorporate it into the business we're doing. It's a messy picture. God, it's a messy picture. But that's why we're all here. And we have to tolerate the messiness in order to move through to what's really important. Human lives and wood thrushes are important. Thank you.
Run in Browns Mills, and the last time I was here, we were discussing warehouses too, and I came up here and made the exact same statement that I'm going to make now, is that I grew up in Newark and Union, New Jersey. Concrete, bricks, people too close to each other. I moved here to get away from that. When I first found this town, I looked at the beauty of it. Now, the other day I missed my turn for Walmart because there's a warehouse there and I don't see the woods anymore. So, bringing in warehouses, I don't think is a great idea. What can we bring in? That's a question. We could do a root tree, problem tree, to get to the root of the problem, why companies won't come here. We can do a focus group on anything, just warehouses, the supply chain factor. I'm in transportation, ports, airports. Our ports, we have longshoremen who don't work every day because the supply chain is not there. And that's why warehouses are sitting empty, because there's not anything coming in to fill them up. And when you don't have anything to fill them up, you're losing out on jobs. And now you just create a big space that's useless, where we could have had a recreation center for the kids to go to, and also infrastructure. Our town, I don't think we have the infrastructure for all these warehouses. EMS, fire, police, utilities. Water pressure is already low. Trash pickup. It was just reduced to 1 day a week. So now we're gonna add that warehouses to our trash pickup? Are they even gonna come to our house anymore? And then I have the construction of new houses. I looked at the price of those houses in Lumberton that they're building. They wanna start at $600,000.
Wow.
You gotta be kidding me. We don't live in that society where, you know, we just like, I suspect that those houses are gonna go empty too. Because unless you bring in some millionaires from New York down here to live, not many people are going to be able to afford that. And they have I looked it up, they have very few low-income housing units. And then the other thing I wanted to say is that the procurement process for these contracts. For example, the garbage contract, you say you only got one bid. Well, I work with procurement and I work with subcontractors. I am involved in the procurement process of getting the construction of JFK Newark LaGuardia Stewart Airport and the port and the waterfront development. I do those contracts. There's no need to go to one vendor. You go back out and you say, hey, people, this contract is available. There is no marketing about the contracts. There's no marketing about the meetings. If I don't dig into the website of Pemberton Township, I can't find anything and I don't know anything. It just so happens that someone wrote on the What's Going On in Pemberton Facebook page and neighborhood that I knew about this emergency meeting. And since I was I just happened to be able to work from home today and can make it. But we have to do better. We have to really do better because people moved here for the beauty, the nature, the environment, the clean air. Warehouses have awful, they bring awful air. Because it's nothing but bricks and concrete. And I would also, on closing note, I would like to have a virtual attendance so that I can attend these meetings. And thank you very much.
My name's Joe Anderson. One of my questions is, who does the hiring and firing of the business administrator? Who does the hiring and firing of the business administrator? The who?
Council would vote on it.
How long are you gonna wait until you fire him? $400,000 in debt when it comes to the trash. He just lets that be known about weeks ago. He's the business administrator. Why do you let him continue down the road with bills like that, with not being paid, money not? Why is it coming to light now? All this investigation I hear on Facebook and signs being put up for the mayor. What about him? He's got to go. You're terrible at your job, dude. You gotta go. I just wrote my address down. 41 Lindbergh Avenue. What's your address? Where do you live? I gotta write my name down.
I buy a house next to you.
Where do you live? What town? Yeah, it don't matter, right? You don't live in Pemberton Township, no, do you?
Nope.
How much longer are you going to continue with a business administrator that's not doing his job? You won't fire him. A complete stare. That's what I get. Not an answer. Is he doing a good job? Mr. Gardner? How's he doing his job? You think he's doing a great job? Can't answer, huh? How many of you on the board have been on the planning board? Want to raise your hand? Ever been on the planning board? How about you, Mr. Gardner? Been on the planning board? Is that a yes? Now you're on the council, right? So now the vote comes up to the council. While you were on the planning board, you're approving stuff to come up. Talk about contracts or sign. They had to go in front of the planning board first to get to you. Now they're to you, now you want to approve here. Isn't that kind of a conflict of interest?
No comment.
And you want to raise tax money. I mean, 3 or 4 years, some of you have been on council, Dietrich, and then before that, the same administration. You just haven't done nothing. Nothing. And now you want to build houses and warehouses. And that's your big answer to getting tax money. For what? To grow the government a little bigger up here so you can hire more people and do whatever. All these abandoned houses around town, you can't get them sold, you can't get the property sold. I guess you can't collect the money from them that's owed on them because you don't know how to do that job. I mean, dude, you gotta go, man. Seriously. That's all I got. I don't know how you can sit on that board and continually let him do his job. And this, Amy, I ain't heard nothing out of you, really. I mean, seriously, you gotta go too. You are gonna go. We're gonna have Harper up here, we're gonna have Doyle up here, we're gonna have Matt up here. And 4 months, you're gone, all right?
Mr. Anderson, I'm the township clerk, I'm not the township
Township
council.
clerk, I'm sorry.
I'm not the administrator.
Well, you should be getting tired with these people. I'd be ashamed to sit up there with them.
This is my job.
Huh?
This is my job, it's been my job for
Well,
29 years.
It's gotta be embarrassing, ain't it? Is it embarrassing?
It's been frustrating.
Yes. You got it.
Hi, my name is Heather McGarvey. I am GOP Regional Chair, just elected for Burlington County. All the towns along 206. And I just have to say, I have been to many meetings. I sit on the zoning board in Chemung. We call it the J-Love there, because we have a joint land use board. I have never been so disappointed in elected officials and a solicitor and a business administrator's behavior as I am at this meeting. This is horrible. The way you talk to your residents that come out here because they care about their town, and the way you talk to the people that pay your salary, you shouldn't have a job. I'm in law school now. I would be embarrassed to be even associated with you in any way, shape, or form. I think at this point, people should be resigning from here because the people don't want you. If you do not have the interest of the people that live here at heart, you can't do your job. And you shouldn't have it. I don't care when an election is. I don't care if you're a Republican or a Democrat. You should be ashamed to sit here and talk. There was an older woman come up here. If that was my mother, I would flip out if you talked to her the way you talked to that woman. You should be ashamed of yourselves. I've never seen anything like it. I've probably been to 50 different townships meetings in this state, and I've never seen behavior. And I have heard nothing from you as a solicitor. Not one single word. They have spoke of lawsuits and obligations, and you have sat there and bit your tongue and said nothing. Where is your due diligence, sir?
I'm the attorney, pinch hitter. I'm a pinch hitter tonight for the regular attorney. So I'm
Well, you should still
Let me
voice.
finish.
Go ahead.
Let me finish. If no one has asked me to participate in a legal question, that would have to come from the council president to direct me to do so. So if you think that I'm somehow being reluctant or something, I'm not. I'm doing my job. And I will do my job.
I couldn't
and
see you
will-
doing anything except sitting there and not saying anything. regardless if you're a substitute or not, you are still paid by the people's money of this town, as are all the council members. And I've only seen one council member speak up for these people. Now, I was a little late, so I don't know if others did, and I will apologize if I missed that. But I'm just saying, you especially sit there and roll your eyes. And the way you talk to people, you shouldn't hold a public office anywhere. So that's my feeling. Thank you.
Anyone else wishes to address the council this evening?
Hi, my name is Pierce Ford. I live in 117 Branch Street, Mount Holly, New Jersey, and that lady who came up was my mom. I just want to say, I'm a high schooler student, and I do learn about just basic politics, and you guys' behavior just seemed very unprofessional for the sort of situation that they're in. Like, the constant theme that was put here was that you're here to serve the people. You went into this job thinking and agreeing that you were going to serve the people, help this community, build this community. But all of this situation is it seems like a bunch of animals yelling at each other. You respond to these, Paul Dietrich, you respond to these people like I respond to my mom when she tells me something I don't want to do. Like, it just seems very unprofessional in a sense. And I don't live here, but I do have a cousin who lives here, and I can't drive yet, so I'm obviously in the passenger seat. And I do enjoy watching the farmlands as we drive by. It makes the drive very special. This is basically a second home to me, and all this land, it's very harmonious. And I feel like the warehouses are sort of a disease because they started in my town, and now they're spreading to Browns Mills, and then they're gonna spread to Mount Laurel, and then they're gonna spread to Pennsylvania. It's just a disease that has no cure. And all I'm hearing, like my dad says all the time, all I'm hearing are excuses and no solutions. You guys are just going back and forth with these people, but nothing else is being said. Like Mr. Gardner said something about this bringing in revenue, but when you drive down the road about 2 miles, there's an empty plot with a Dairy Queen, and then there's empty stores. People are singing and bringing in stores, and then somebody brought up the idea of going into the root of the problem, but nobody else brought up that idea. They just you guys continuously go back and forth, and I just thought you guys should know that's very unprofessional, and I didn't realize that adults could act like this, because honestly, the people at my job, I work at a Cracker Barrel, by the way, would have more professionalism in this sense. My manager has more professionalism in this sense. I just wanted to let you guys know. Thank you.
I just have one more comment. I would like to introduce to the people and to the commissioners up here the New Jersey Constitution. We, the people of the state of New Jersey, grateful to Almighty God and the civil liberties and religious liberty that He hath so long permitted us to enjoy, and looking to Him for blessings upon our endeavors, and to secure and transmit the same unimpaired to succeeding generations, do ordain and establish this Constitution. That's the preamble. Article 1, rights and privileges. Paragraph 1.
Sir, excuse me, you're gonna read a little bit more, you're not gonna read the whole Constitution?
I'm sorry, no, not the whole. There's not enough time.
Because you were up once before, right?
I was, yeah. Paragraph 1 reads rights and privileges. All the people are by nature free and independent, and have certain natural and unalienable rights, among which those are enjoying and defending life and liberty, and acquiring possessions and protecting property, and of pursuing and obtaining safety and happiness. I ask you, are you happy?
No.
Paragraph 2. All political power is inherent in the people. Government is instituted for the protection, security, and benefit of the people.
No.
And they have the right at all times to alter or reform the same whenever the public good may require it. Does the public good require it?
Yes.
I yield.
Anyone else, anybody talk, but, usually we go once. Go ahead, quick.
Just, it's because it's relevant to what you have on the agenda this evening. What are the tax benefits that are attached to the 4 applications that are on tonight's agenda? What are the tax benefits that have been granted to the developers on these?
The redevelopment agreement, the redevelopment agreement, which is on the agenda tonight, has what we call a pilot proposal. The township ordinance, which was adopted back, whatever, allows for 5-year.
Oh, hell no.
Tax, reduction, pilot,
Right.
payment in lieu of tax.
Right, I understand what payment in lieu of taxes is.
The agreement on
Yeah.
tonight's agenda incorporates that, it said that the developer
Incorporates that.
can.
And so, everyone in the room is aware that pilot taxes are not shared with the schools. Pilot taxes are paid only to the municipality.
In the county.
And not the schools, and the county, you're right, not the schools. So that should be made, everyone should be made aware of that.
Is there any pilot involved here?
It's a 5-year partial exemption abatement program. It's not
Ah,
that.
a little
So
workaround there.
Everybody gets.
So that's another lie.
Same thing,
No more amendments.
same thing.
I'm just saying what he said.
You're not starting the timer yet, are you? Let me know. Oh, you're doing the timing? Oh, darn. Let me know. You say a prayer first.
You tell us when you're ready to start.
Okay, let me take one deep breath, if you don't mind. Thank you. My name is Michelle Foreman. You can start. Number 1, stop all these tax breaks, pilot programs, abatement programs. This is not bringing revenue into our township, okay? I'm not on top of all that. The studies, they're spending probably millions of dollars on all these studies, by the way, just to let everyone know. Studies, the water lines, the buildings to keep the water lines, the 3 wells at Greenberg. If I'm wrong, you can tell me. Who paid for them? You forgot to thank us taxpayers. The Country Lakes Equity. They have wells over there, they told me at the last planning board. Who paid for them? Can somebody know? We're paving the way. You guys are taking our tax dollars, that we don't want this stuff, and using it to pave the way. And Mr. Hornicle actually said at one of the last meetings that we need to prepare the way for these people. No, we don't. No, we don't need to do that. These are millionaires, billionaires. They can afford to pave their own roads, ways into where they want to go. Because quite frankly, as far as I'm concerned, you're paving a highway to hell. The hell of over traffic, overpopulation, building, cutting down trees, cutting down our oxygen supply. It was hot today. I'll talk about that in a minute. It's very hot today. I called the township. Are they going to cancel the meeting tonight? We have people in this room very hot. Some of these people in this room may have health problems. Thankfully, I'm getting better. But I could be one person up here having health problems. Thankfully, my heart doctor said I have a number 10 heart. Why is that so important? Why is that so important? I don't care. I don't want to brag. I like to eat. I rode my bike yesterday morning, the day before morning. I picked berries yesterday for hours this week. But you know, I can handle heat. I can. But today was ridiculous. I don't see, I went last night, swam in my son's pool, and took a bike ride. I'm just saying these things for a reason. I could barely breathe today. And I have pretty good lungs. I could barely breathe today. It was so hot. So let's do something about it. Let's build more warehouses. They want to put 3-story highs, row house, you can call them condos, townhouses. They're 3-story high row houses. They're in clusters. They want to bring this here like they did. The people who want it to work at the schools, they can go to any other town in Burlington County and they can get, I promise you, you can get plenty of that anywhere else. Why can't we keep one town in a county? Okay, I'm just going to say something, Mr. Hornicle. I'm a little perturbed tonight because you pushed this at the planning board meeting and didn't ask questions like everybody said. You're pushing too hard for this. You're bringing these 4 things back. I know everybody said it, I am with them on this one. I am usually very courteous to you. I believe in respecting, my elected officials regardless, and I try to do that, I really do. As far as I'm concerned, you're kind of relaxed tonight in a way, because as far as I'm concerned, you're sure that Donovan, Mr. Gardner, Mr. Dietrich, and Elizabeth are probably gonna vote yes.